frankly, oh my God, they're paying attention to us.
Yeah.
No, the Brits don't like whiners. You know, they like tough guys.
Wait a minute. Can anybody tell me who likes whiners?
No, the Brits do not.
I know,
Oh,
but who
oh.
likes whiners?
I don't.
Good question, Glenn. Good question.
You know, I gotta listen to them all day long, so I certainly don't like them.
Yeah.
I had one guy who was whining at me about some BS, and the next thing I basically asked him, "Would you like some cheese with your wine?"
That's good, Rob.
He shut up.
Okay, guys, it's 7:03, so let's get started. We have John here. He's going to talk to us tonight. Steve Maynard's our first vice president. Glenn's our second VP. He's going to talk about weather apps. Alan's not here yet, and I'm the secretary. I do the website. Let's see what else. At our officers meeting last week, we didn't talk about February meeting, so I can't tell you anything about upcoming. It'll be a surprise, whatever it is, to us as well as you. Oh,
Ron?
Yeah, I forgot, Glenn. Glenn is splitting up his weather app presentation, so he's going to do like a second half of it in February. But that's all.
Unless if everybody's totally bored with it tonight, then I won't. But
You're going to wait for the snow app. The ski reports.
I took Steve and my wife's advice and said, decide to break it up so it's not too much of an avalanche of stuff on you.
Yeah, heavens, we would hate to have that, right? The membership rewards program is restarting. So this first half of 2023, ending with the June meeting, I'll be taking names. Here's my list, right? And putting tickets into a bag and all that. And for our June meeting, we'll draw names and give away 4 $100 Apple gift cards like we did in December. Previous winners are on the list on the website. What else here? So, do we have any member reviews? Anybody acquire a new piece of
That's all for today.
equipment or software that you'd like to briefly tell us about? Okay, don't all talk at once. So we'll bypass that. And I guess we're ready to start on our weather apps. Kind of appropriate now with all the terrible weather that's going on the West Coast and the East Coast and the South. And we sit here with 60-degree weather. It's kind of amazing. But okay, Glenn.
And as I told my my track athletes at our winter conditioning workout this afternoon, come with clothes prepared for all kinds of weather because you can't count on too many days like this in January or February. So couldn't got much better than what it was today.
Have you noticed, though, when we have really, really bad, cold weather in December, oftentimes January is real mild. So I think it's like a boomerang effect or something. But anyway, that's my old wives' tale.
I have no scientific way to back this up, but I'm a believer that it all kind of balances out. So when you have really unseasonably bad weather, I think you usually get some good weather. And when you're really enjoying really good weather like we have today, you're going to pay for it somewhere down the road. So
yeah, really,
that's my theory. But and by the way, Thursday and Friday aren't really going to be that pleasant. Thursday is going to start off pretty rainy and the temperature is going to be dropping and it's going to be windy. And so.
Yeah, but more like normal January for us, right? So
sure, it'll be in the 30s and windy, you know, but anyway, so let me pull this up here. I am going to, let's see here. Hold on a second. I'm going to attempt to do something tonight. We'll see how well it works. I'm going to kind of try to go between my presentation and my phone, and we'll see if it works. And if it's highly annoying, I'll stop doing that.
Tomorrow.
All right.
Whoa.
All right. Can you all see that?
Uh-huh.
All right. A couple things, but by the way, before I get rolling talking about weather apps, I didn't really prepare this, but just a couple things that are of my normal goodies. Lately, I've been kind of sacrificing the goodies for some of my presentations on iOS, Mac OS, and now weather apps. But if anybody's interested in getting a new battery from Apple on their devices, do it now, because their prices for all their batteries are going up March 1st. So if you're in need of something like that, you want to get a new battery in your phone or something, look into doing that in the next month and a half here. Otherwise, you're going to pay more. The other thing is, just happened to see that it's on this date, January 10th, 2006 was when the MacBook Pro was announced by Steve Jobs. So a little bit of an anniversary there.
The MacBook, what I missed that, what you said?
The MacBook Pro.
Pro. Okay.
First was 2006 on this date. So anyway, so I'm going to be talking a little bit about weather apps. And, I want to say something with a big caveat here. I don't rank these. I'm just talking about them. I would say to people, use whatever you like and you feel comfortable to you. I don't know that there's necessarily, better or worse or whatever. It just depends on what your needs are, what you like the look and feel of, and feel comfortable with it. So I'm not doing any kind of ranking as I talk about these. And, not every weather app's for everybody. I would also say that not that they all have the exact same features, but for the most part, they do a lot of similar things. So, I'm not going to say they're all exactly alike, but you can pretty much get out of them whatever you want, depending on, for whatever you want to use, I guess, is what I'm saying. So, if you're comfortable with something, great, go with it. And like I said, I decided to divide this up into two parts. I know, as I said, both Steve and my wife had said, well, if you do a lot of these, it's going to kind of all run together and it's going to be a lot of information there. So, cause I had like 12 different apps I was looking at. And so I thought, well, let's break this up into 2 different months. So I'll do some tonight, and then I'll come and visit other ones next month. And I'm just kind of going through these in alphabetical order. Like I said, there's no real ranking or anything of these. Yep. God, I can't do that. All right. So the big news in weather apps recently has been the demise of Dark Sky. So as I think you all know, Apple bought Dark Sky back in 2020, and they basically bought it so they could use the technology of Dark Sky for their own weather app. And they had announced, a while ago that they were going to be shutting it down. It was removed from the App Store back in September, and as of January 1, it no longer works. So I would tell you, if you're a Dark Sky user and you've got it on your phone, you might as well delete it, because you're not going to get anything on there, no readings. So that has gone. And I know that Dark Sky was I would probably say, it's hard to say what the most popular one is, but certainly one of the most popular weather apps. I know there've been a lot of people that are pretty bummed that it's no longer with us. So since we're talking about it, I will start with the Apple weather app. I don't want to say it's some like revolutionary change in the latest iOS and Mac OS systems, but it has been sort of a work in progress that's been changing and evolving. And, they've incorporated a lot of stuff from the Dark Sky app, and it's got a nice little look with the different panels that Apple's using. This is what you're seeing here is the desktop version for Mac OS. And and I find it's something I just kind of keep in the background. I can click on it whenever I need it. And it really does a nice job of giving me most of the information that I need. And so I don't know if you guys have used this in the Mac OS environment, but each of these little panels, each of these modules, as they call them, the squares, you can click on it and it'll give you more information there. Like if you click on the map, you can show it'll show the precipitation animation for the future, current and future, and you can get more detailed information on that stuff. So the stuff is kind of hidden in these little modules. So you can see, like if I clicked on the humidity module, it'll pull up this little, chart here and give me a daily summary. One of the things I like here, you'll notice it has a little discussion. It gets cut off, but it's talking about what relative humidity is and what the dew point is. So, if people may not understand what that stuff is, it's kind of nice that you can, learn about that as well. So I like that about the app. You can get notifications from the weather app. And so you can turn those on as you want. And I would say the big pros and cons to me, well, the biggest pro is it's free. It comes with your system on both iOS and Mac OS. So, that's pretty simple. It's got a nice, yeah.
Is it already on our computers then?
Should be, I believe.
Oh, okay.
That's the way I understand it. It just comes as part of the system.
Okay.
I do think they have a nice clean layout. I like that. It's easy to see everything on there. And I'll take you here in a second to the iOS app and show you that. I like, and you don't see it here because I just have a picture in the background, but those clouds you're seeing, that actually is an animation. And so you'll just see the clouds kind of drifting there. So they have a nice kind of weather animation to match whatever your conditions are. I like, as I said, when you go into the modules, they give you specifics and educate you. I think that's great. I also like in the precipitation module that you can switch between an hourly or a 12-hour mode. You can see past or current, precipitation. Some of the cons for me, I think they could have had some a little more details. There's some areas that just me personally, I think this works for the average person, but compared to other apps, they don't give you as much detail. Could have been a little, I think it's a nice, clean presentation. It's nice, but I think they could have jazzed it up a little bit. To me, it's a little plain, but that's just my, personal preference. One thing that I thought Dark Sky did really well was with the precipitation, the coloring. It wasn't that they just used different colors, but you could really see by looking at the coloration how intense the precipitation was. And I think they did a better job of that. So I think Apple could have taken a little more of that and used that. The other thing that Apple didn't incorporate from Dark Sky, there was more information right at your fingertips. Whereas in Apple, you've always got to you got to press and dig into something else, another menu that's nested inside of that rather than just right at your fingertips. Also with their alerts, you can get notifications, but you can't customize the alerts like you can in some other weather apps. All right, so let's try to do this here. Oh. I'm going to stop my share real quick. I wish there was an easier way to do this. But I don't want to do that. Okay. Here you go. Hold on. Hold on one second. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, can you guys all see my phone there?
Yep.
Okay, so this is
What did he
the
touch?
app looks like on the iPhone. And again, you can see that animation that I was talking about with the clouds kind of moving there in the background. And it's kind of the same thing with these little modules, but you know, you're just scrolling and other than that, it looks pretty much the same. I try to have everything I can, as many apps as possible and systems on dark mode. I like things dark on my phone. So so there it looks pretty much the same. If I hit the little map thing at the bottom, you can now see the precipitation map there. I think that sometimes these get hidden a little bit. So it's that little folded map thing down in the bottom right or bottom left corner, excuse me. And then you've got a little contextual menu and you can pull up your locations down there. So I feel like I said, it's, you know, you can scroll, I can scroll through my different locations going back and forth. So that's what it looks like on the iPhone. I wish there was a way I didn't have to stop share and reshare. So if this gets truly annoying, let me know, guys, because I don't want to annoy everybody. All right. All right, so that's the Apple Weather app. All right, so next I'm going to move on to AccuWeather. And AccuWeather is actually a pretty big name in the weather business. And they make their app for iOS, iPadOS, watchOS, and even the Apple TV. You'll notice for some of these weather apps, they work with the Apple TV. So one of the big things about AccuWeather compared to other apps is that AccuWeather, it's an actual weather service. As I said, it's one of the big names in the weather industry. And what they do is they're actually a company, it's an American company that they provide commercial weather forecasting for businesses and industries that, like, you know, you pay subscription fees for them. And they actually have their own television network, AccuWeather TV, and things like that. So if you get the app, you know, you're not getting their full commercial services, but you know, you are getting, like I said, you're getting an actual, you know, weather service versus just somebody pulling somebody else's data out there. And I think AccuWeather does a real nice job. They offer a lot of customization options in there, especially now. Here's where we get into the great thing, by the way, about the Apple Weather app. It's free, but you get what you get, and that's it. The rest of these apps that I'll show you, not all of them, but most of them you can get for free, but then you can subscribe. And by subscribing, you can get more advanced features, more in-depth forecasting stuff, things like that. So for AccuWeather here, their subscriptions are $8.99 or $19.99 a year. They've got some real nice weather radar features in here. I like that they actually have, and I don't know how accurate it is, but not only do they have long-term forecasts, but they also have long-term radar forecasts. So it's kind of interesting to look at that when you're looking at, you know, where they think the precipitation will be. Of course, once you get more than 24 hours out, you know, the further out you get, the more of a crapshoot it becomes. But they do give you information like water vapor, rainfall, storm surges, things like that, that I think are a little more interesting than just the normal stuff. As I said, the biggest pro for me with them is that, you know, they've got their own weather service and they've got a pretty good track record of accuracy. I think that their app is pretty simple, but it's got a fairly detailed interface that goes with it. They give you a lot of customization options. One thing that they do in there that I've noticed in a few apps is they have the real feel feature. And so this is telling you how the actual weather feels. And it's interesting because they do it in the sun and the shade. And so it's the only app that I know that tells you how it feels in the shade. And so I thought that was an interesting little feature. They also do a lot of stuff with like air quality and allergens. So if you're an allergy sufferer like myself, it's nice to know, although it's nice to know, but it doesn't help me at all because I'm still going to suffer. So they also have some interesting 24-hour snowfall forecasts. And so they have some of their maps will show like the snow accumulation forecasts. And so that's kind of interesting to look at. Their alerts get really, really specific if you're using paid subscriptions. They really you can really customize them. So like I said, the cons, you do have the subscriptions. The one thing that people have really been complaining about with the AccuWeather app is there's a lot of ads, and it seems to have gotten worse recently. I don't know why that is. The interface itself, I mean, it's simple, and it gives enough details, but I don't know. To me, it's a little boring, and I'll show you guys what I mean here. But again, when I talk about interfaces and stuff like that, that's really, frankly, it's a personal opinion. That's just my opinion.
Do you subscribe,
okay.
Glenn?
I do not. One of my problems is I use so many weather apps and jump between them that sometimes I almost feel like it's hard to get to be a real expert in any one app because I bounce back and forth. I have a ton of weather apps. And I don't subscribe to this one. I do subscribe to a few other ones, but it gets to be a point where like, okay, I can only, I don't want to subscribe to, 10 different ones of these. So, by the way, you'll notice their little winter cast. They're talking about snowfall Wednesday morning. I am thinking it's just going to end up being rain, but it all depends, a word of warning, how quickly the temperature drops. Because the high, which will be like early in the morning, is going to be around 41 or 2 degrees, but that temp's going to be dropping all day. So it just depends on how long the rain hangs around and how fast the temperature drops. So something to keep an eye on. So anyway, here's their interface. I don't know, personally to me, nothing real exciting about it. Whoops, sorry. And you can see immediately as soon as I scroll, there's a nice ad right there, right in the middle. So I don't subscribe, so I don't know what it looks like with the subscription if they totally get rid of it. So anyway, they give you some details. Again, there's their real feel option. Obviously, they don't need to tell me what it's like in the shade because everything's shaded outside. But I do think they add some nice customizations there, like telling me what the max wind gusts were, little things like that. Some people may not care about that. I'm curious how they read my indoor humidity. I don't know if they're using some kind of sensor on my phone. So I wasn't sure about that. But anyway, so you can see these are all the things that you're reading just on the current conditions. And then you can also scroll down and see history there, and then what they're giving you for the normal this time of year. You can see what it was last year on this date.
Come here, Max. Come on.
And then they have a special winter cast. And that will obviously go away when you're not in the winter time. They do stuff, as I said, with air quality. So you can see the allergen outlook there. So again, I think that's kind of nice information for people to use, especially because not all apps are going to give you that stuff. But I go into air quality. It literally really gets detailed here on like the air pollutants. Like you can see the particulate matter and fine particulate matter and stuff like that. So I don't know of another app, frankly, that I have found that really delves into the air quality and allergen stuff like the AccuWeather app does. So I think that's a really, really cool feature. And you can see they've got that scale there and it shows you what they're telling. So, right now they're saying our air quality is fair. So again, that's one of the things that you can get from there. Let's see, their radar, it's unfortunately we don't have a precip around for me to, let's see if I can find some precip so you can see what it looks like. Come back. I saw you there. I kind of like their shading, the way they do it in here. And there's the way that radar looks. And again, you can go back or a little forward there if you want. And see, they want to give me an ad here. This is what everybody's complaining about. It's just gotten worse and worse and worse. So I don't know.
Why do you have the ad there? You were talking about the shading in the radar.
Yeah.
Is the color convention standardized across all apps? Or do you not know? Or
I would say it's close. It doesn't look exactly the same on all of them, but for the most part, your blues are snows, your purple is a mix, your greens are rain, your yellows and reds are, heavier rain. So I think that's fairly standard, but some of them, they're slightly different. So you
have
can
you
also,
encountered a place where a person can read about the standards or the lack of thereof?
I've never seen well, let me admit, I've never looked for an article on this. So
Okay, that's okay.
I would say probably just do a search and see if there's something out there. That's
I
the
was
best.
just wondering if you had happened to come across something. And the other
No.
question is as you go through your presentation, can you let me know if you know specifically if any of these apps offer like selecting the individual tilts for the radar station?
I'm going to get one for you later on that you will find interesting.
Or do all of them just show composite radar? Or
No, but again, I've got one that will be more up your alley that probably, my guess is nobody else here will be interested, or maybe not. I shouldn't say that, but.
okay,
All right,
thank you.
So anyway, you can go into your kind of daily stuff here as well. It's a little different look than what most apps give you, in my opinion.
Yes.
Nothing real
No.
exciting. And
Oh,
also,
good shit. Get out of there.
Get out of there.
you can do it hourly, but you guys can see what I mean about all these ads popping up. So it's really annoying. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and stop with AccuWeather there. All right, by the way, I've got 6 of these for you tonight, so there are 2. All right. All right, my third one is Carrot Weather. And Carrot Weather I've been using now, gosh, I don't know, for 4 or 5 years, maybe. I don't know when it first came out now. I don't remember. But anyway, as you can see, they make it for, a variety of systems. And Carrot Weather to me is a lot of fun. But my caution with this is it really depends on your personality. So Carrot Weather was designed with a very sarcastic sense of humor. I would tell you, if you're easily offended, this is not the app for you. Now, what's interesting about Carrot Weather is that you can actually select your level of sarcasm to match your personality. And you can also select your political preference to match that level of sarcasm. So you can kind of customize that. By the way, if you choose professional on the level of sarcasm, it really kind of turns that off. So if you don't like that stuff, you would want to set it on there. If you choose overkill, then you have to decide if you want profanity on or off. So I was actually recently had mine on overkill, and it made me realize that I meant to do this beforehand, that I am going to go in my settings and I'm going to turn the profanity off, because I had the profanity on overkill and I don't want to offend anybody here. So I'm gonna do that as I talk to you guys.
Is it on the printed material, Glenn, or is it on just the way they present a city? Where is this?
I'm not sure what you mean.
I mean, I don't see anything on the still screen there.
Oh, yeah, I don't have anything here yet for you. I will show you guys all of this. I'm just making sure. I forgot to turn my profanity off. I just didn't want to offend anybody as I get to that. Okay. So anyway, like I said, you can choose from a number of different political things. You can be conservative, liberal, anarchist, apolitical, libertarian, and that changes how the sarcasm appears. I think the Carrot Weather is probably the most customizable of all the apps out there. There's just a lot of stuff you can do. So here are just some screenshots, and look at the comments that the app gives you, and you'll see what I mean about sarcasm. And so that's pretty typical of this app. You know, like the watch there, heavy rain starting in 10 minutes, sucks to be you. You know, or the cloudy, nobody loves you. That's probably why it's cloudy right now. It's very sarcastic. So again, if that's not your cup of tea, you know, move on. I do like the little graphics though, with it. So that's kind of fun. I think that it's a very just interesting app in my opinion. Now, the app itself is free, but again, if you want to unlock a lot of different data, you've got to go for their premium levels through their subscriptions. And if you do want to do one of those, you get a 7-day free trial on them. So you can do that, try it, see if you like it. And so you can kind of see some of their different levels here. And each one adds on to the one before, you know, and if you go up to the premium family, then you can get up to 5 members in your family, and they just share your subscription through Apple Family Sharing. Okay, so anyway, they add a lot of stuff there to that. The app also will let you create 20 different widgets for iOS and iPadOS. So there's a lot of customization of widgets that you can do with it. So that's kind of nice that if you are into widgets and want to create those. I also like I'm showing you here the iPad layout, and I like their columns view on there. I think makes it real easy to navigate around. Like I said, I really like a lot of the icons and just the look and feel. I think they make the app kind of fun. So again, my pros, love the customization. I love that it's snarky and kind of fun, but that just sort of matches my sarcastic sense of humor. Love the interface, love the colors, love the icons. They have something in here called time machine mode. And I love that because you can choose to go back in time and look up different dates and see what the weather was. Love that you can add widgets. Love the column layout in the iPad so you can see more at one time. They actually in the app have Siri shortcuts that are made already, and you can choose to use those if you want. So, you know, you don't even have to go into your shortcuts app and create stuff. They also have these little mini games, and there's spoken dialogue available if you want it. I'll kind of show you the mini games. The subscriptions are required. That's the biggest con to me of the app. And I don't mean that as in a con job. I'm saying one of the negatives. And so some of their subscriptions can get pricey after a while. So, you know, sorry, that was my next one. So let me go back
How
to
pricey is it, Glenn?
Oh gosh, now I'm trying to remember. I'm blanking. I apologize. I thought I included that for every one of these, and I didn't.
No
Let me
biggie.
see. Well, let me see if I can, hold on, answer that real quick. I'm going to tell you in a second here. I'm on their FAQ page. Hopefully they have it right here.
Current weather.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Just looking here, it's roughly about $14.99.
There's different levels though of it. So it depends which premium level you choose. There's 3 different levels, and I just don't have it handy. So
It's not turning.
apologize for that, guys. Like I said, I tried to put all these on here, and now I don't want to spend too much time. I will look it up later though and let you guys know. All right, so going over to the app here for you guys on my phone. Come on, phone. There we go. Okay. All right. So like I said, I just love the way it looks. I like the look
Hey,
and
babe.
feel of it. I think it's just fun, and maybe that's annoying to people, and that's fine. So as you can see again, you see the sarcasm right off the bat up there, and I kind of have fun with it. So right now I've just got it set on overkill and apolitical. And so if I change, the sarcasm will change. So let's see, to do that, I go into my settings and a general and a personality. So let's say, and I've got the profanity turned off. Like I said, I didn't want to offend anybody. So let's say I change, we'll go past homicide. I'll just go to snarky. And let's say I'm going to make it libertarian. So let's go back here and let's see what they say. So you can see how the sarcasm changes on there by the level I set it at. And I'm sure if I just changed it to liberal or anarchist or something, it would give a different bent to it. I know when you put it on liberal or conservative, they tend to like to make fun of the opposite one. So anyway, that's, you can have some kind of fun with that if that's your thing. If not, you can tone that down and put professional. So again, I really like the look of it. It's just got a nice little look. You see down at the bottom, by the way, you notice it says source dark sky, and I've come across it on a few apps. And so now I'm curious where they're pulling their weather data from, because it hasn't changed. And I don't know, I haven't been able to find that out. Like here, I can hit customize layout, and you can see that you've got a lot of things in here where you can change the look and the feel of the whole app going into all these things. So you can spend quite a bit of time doing that. As far as the map goes, you can see again, the map uses very strong colors. I'm not crazy about their coloration, frankly, on their radar. Again, on most radars, when you see a lot of pink, that's generally ice mix kind of stuff. And I was noticing on the other app that we were seeing a lot more blue. So I'm not sure if that really is an icy mix. If you look up there on the top of the bar, they're kind of purplish pink is really snow. But I think that's, again, going back to kind of what Tammy was asking about, I think that goes a little against convention. So I'm not totally crazy about that. Let's see here. I told you they have little mini game stuff in here. So you can see it says, well, first down here, like you can see it like racks up achievements like Trotter, excuse me. It says travel in person to 30 different cities. Now, obviously you have to use the app while you're there for it to count, I guess. And it kind of keeps track of your statistics and stuff like that. And they're all over social media as well. So they do a lot of interactive stuff. This current mission, I've just tried one, but like here, their thing is find the last surviving wonder of the ancient world. And then you've got to go find it on the map. So, if you're interested in playing a game in there with your weather app, there you go. You can, click on, you see the hourly and daily forecast. And if I click on like Thursday here, you can see where, it's kind of talking about, the precip in the morning and everything. And so that's kind of what the daily forecast is doing there. So I do feel like they give you a great deal of information. I've been a fan of Carrot Weather since it came out. Like I said, I think it first originated like about 4 or 5 years ago. And so that's one of my favorites that I like, that I will use. But as I said, I use so many of them that I just kind of bounce back and forth. All right, moving on here. My next one is something called Forecast Bar. Has anybody heard of Forecast Bar?
Not me.
Nope.
It is
Yes. Yes,
Okay,
you introduced it in a previous weather app collection, and we are regular users of the forecast bar.
okay, great. I didn't remember doing that, but it's not a great, like, I mean, it's not really well known, but man, it's one of my favorites. And so, you know, I would echo kind of what Tammy said there. It's one that I use all the time. And, you know, it just does a really nice job. My favorite part about it is the Mac OS version. They don't make a standalone app, but they make one it's meant just to sit on your menu bar. And I subscribe to it. The biggest reason is for that. I love just having that up on my menu bar. Boom, I click on it and I'm into the app. And so that's why I decided to subscribe to it. And so I'll show you what that looks like. So this, if you see here, is that's what it looks like sitting on my menu bar. So that little, if you can see at the top there where it says 33 degrees Fahrenheit, that is, and I just took these screenshots.
When
right
we're
now.
looking at your phone.
You're seeing my phone?
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Let's stop the share. Okay, can you see this now?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that, guys. I must have confused myself. Okay. So what I was saying is I took this screenshot and it's just the 33 degrees and the clouds up there. That's just a little icon that's on my menu bar up on my Mac. I click on that and this menu dropped down. And so that's what you see. It'll just show you. And I've customized that to some extent for the small type there, what it's giving me. And then it gives me, you know, all of that kind of information there. Then I can expand that information from that main screen. So if I click on one of these days off to the, it'll kind of bounce out to the left there. And now I've got additional information that'll expand. And again, this is all coming right from my menu bar on my Mac. So I really like that. Oh, sorry, I meant, take that back. I didn't click the days. I clicked the conditions and that's what got me there. When you click the day, then you can get the hourly forecast. So there's a lot of stuff that you can get to pop out and get more information. And like I said, it's not taking up room as a big app that I got to open. It's just right there on my menu bar and it's always there. I can click on it anytime and this pops up. And I love having that right there at my fingertips with almost no effort when I'm sitting at my computer. And you can really do a lot of customizing of the look and feel of it as well. This is what the iOS app looks like. And I'll show you this in a second. And so you can see it has a very similar interface. And I like that because when you're going back and forth, you're looking at something that's somewhat similar and it makes it easy to figure it out. They also have a time machine function, like I mentioned with Carrot Weather does as well, where you can go back and look. I have a lot of fun going back with that kind of stuff on apps. And it's always interesting to see, you know, what was it a year ago or what was it, you know, one time we were talking about a family event, we remembered snow. So I was able to go back and pull this up and see what exactly it did on that date. So that's kind of fun. Forecast Bar always also offers apps you can have on the Apple Watch, the iPad, the Apple TV. I will admit the only one, by the way, if anybody asks me, I have never used any of these on Apple TVs before, so I've never tried any of these apps. I do have it on my Apple Watch though. As it says here, the app isn't free. It's $1.99 for the iOS app and $4.99 for the Mac app. And then they have varying levels of subscriptions that will give you additional information and customizations. They cost anywhere between $4.99 and $14.99 a year. One of the things that irritates me about Forecast Bar is having to buy separate subscriptions for the Mac and iOS. So it's like I have two different subscriptions to Forecast Bar I use, but I like having the subscription on all of my devices. So then I can kind of use the same thing across my devices. And they also have widgets for your iOS home screen, and they have complications for the Watch OS. So I like that complication part of it. And so you can kind of see what it looks like on iPad. Again, I've never tried the Apple TV, so here's what it supposedly looks on your Apple TV. I found a screenshot of it, and then like kind of what it looks like on your Apple Watch face. So my big takeaways from this, the pros, it's a very simple interface to use on all your devices. I think the accuracy is pretty good. Love the customization options for kind of look and feel, stuff like that. Love the menu bar thing. I wish more people would do stuff like that. And I love, since I have the subscriptions, how I can really share that information, gets shared back and forth between my devices. Love that I can create widgets and complications. And I like that your subscriptions are somewhat customizable, and that you can update anywhere from hourly to the minute. Now, I don't know why anybody really needs by the minute, but you might. So that the more you want it to update, the more expensive it'll get. The subscription levels, I will admit, are a bit complicated. And then you're trying to figure out, well, which one do I want? And having to buy some separate subscriptions, as I said, I'm not a big fan of that. One thing I've noticed is the widget info doesn't always match the info on the app. And that's because I've done some research on that sometimes widgets and apps don't update at the same speed. And so that can create a little bit of inconsistency. One of the things, and I'll show you this in a second when I show you the app on my phone, I don't like how they put the radar. They use a little icon, and I'm always like, where's the radar? I always forget. So for whatever reason, I just don't like that. As I said, there's no dedicated Mac app. That doesn't really bother me that much. All right, so let me switch here and show you.
Well, Glenn, very, very brief question while you're doing that.
Yeah.
There is an iOS app and a Mac app, and I think you said depending on how much you want to pay, you can have it show up in your watch. What about on the iPad? Is there an iPad OS app, or is that just the same as the iOS app?
It's right. I don't know if they're making changes to it, but it has just been for the iOS covered those other devices. It was just for Mac and then iOS. And then the iOS covered your, portable devices. So you can see what it looks like on my phone. And so they give you these nice little weather backgrounds, although again, it's customizable. You can change what you're seeing back there. Again, as I said on the Mac part, where you see the writing where it says partly cloudy throughout the day, overcast for the hour, all of that, you can customize what you want to see in that window. So again, this looks familiar to what I was showing you before, showing me the hourly and daily. And then I can, click on, that day to see the hour there as I scroll through. And I can click on any one of those hours and it'll show me what they're forecasting for that hour. Again, I can open that time machine. So January 10th, let's spin the wheel, 88. So on this date, 1988, it was 20 degrees and clear. So there you go. I like the historical stuff like that. I think that's fine. Now, as I said to you, I kind of get confused. I'm like, where's the radar? And so can you guys see the very top of my phone there?
Yeah, there's a little radar.
Yeah, there's a little radar icon. And so you got to click on that. And then that brings up your radar. And
Are we still in 88?
no, we're today. I don't know that it would give you radar. I've never seen an app that will give you historical radar data.
Not a lot of use for that.
That would be pretty cool though. And so again, you can do
That
a lot
is-
of customization with the radar and what you want to see on here and everything. So that's forecast bar. And again, it's one that's not real well known, but I recommend it. I really like it and use it quite a bit. In fact, I don't know if you'll be able to see it because I have a background on here, but let's see if you can see. No, I knew it was going to disappear. I was going to show you the complication on my watch, but I'd have to go change my background and do all that. So I'm not going to bother with that. I'm going to keep on trucking here so I'm not going too long. All right. I have now 2 radar specific apps that I want to talk about. And the first one is called My Radar, and it's for iOS, iPadOS, and watchOS. And this is one that I like it. I really have, I've got like 3 or 4 dedicated radar apps that I use. And so this is one I've been using for a while. And I feel like it does a nice job. And this is something, it's a bit more of an advanced weather app that will give you both radar and forecasting. But I don't think it's too complicated for the average person to use. They'll give you details though. What's cool about not just storms, but also like earthquakes. And so, I mean, the app itself is most well known for the radar part of it, but they do give you forecasts and current conditions and things like that. They also have video stuff that you can access to see things. They do a lot of like environmentally related stuff. And so you can choose some of these overlays for the radar. And they also have animated layers like winds and fronts. As I said, there's our earthquakes layer, there's a hurricane layer. They even have a wildfires layer. That's not something I've seen on apps before. And if you're a pilot into aviation, you can get an additional subscription and that'll get you aviation charts. So you can get all the stuff related to aviation that you need. As I said, they have their own video channel with weather news and videos and stuff. And they have their own website, myradar.com, and you can see their TV feed on there. And so you can also see like user submitted videos, and you can also submit your own. And as you can see here, if you have an Alexa device in your home, it can sync with this and you can have it give you conditions from there. And so that's kind of just some screenshots. You kind of see real quick what the radar looks like there, and I'll show it to you on my phone. One of the things that I love about this app, and this screenshot came from my iPad where it's nice and big. I love that you can see the globe and you can see radar and weather conditions from anywhere on Earth. And so if I go clicking on stuff there, I can pull up information that's going to, be about wherever I want. And so I think that's a really neat feature, especially, and it's not the only one that will do that, but I like that. Like my parents live in Costa Rica, so sometimes I like to check the weather down there or whatever. So they have 4 subscription levels, and it ranges anywhere from $3.99 a month to $14.99 a year. And so some of the subscriptions you get like real time, like hurricane tracking. They've got a professional radar pack, which gives you greater detail of radar from different stations. You can also, and I know Tammy was asking about this, you can, if you have this, depending on the subscription you have, you can use the radar tilt angle. And for those of you who don't know what that's about, radar is kind of looking straight ahead, but you can tilt to get like the different views of the upper parts of the storm versus the lower parts of the storm. And that's what the National Weather Service professional meteorologists will use to get more of a complete picture. So you can subscribe into some fairly powerful radar imagery that is really great. And the aviation thing is $24.99 a year. So again, pros of this: powerful radar capabilities, real-time and historical data. They give you a lot of added detail layers that you can see stuff on. Data on earthquakes. I've seen that in apps where I've never seen with wildfires. So that's a new one to me. and then the whole video thing. To get full access to the app, you really need subscriptions. I mean, I've got a subscription on this one, but you know, so you've got to have something if you really want to use this. There is a bit of a learning curve to get used to on this, and there's nothing for the Mac that goes with this. So let me show you the app itself. Oh, did I?
Would
Okay.
the, hi Glenn, would the Mac, would the app run on an M1 processor?
Haven't tried it. It might. So, oh, by the way, notice the green strip down here, and I left this on here on purpose. I think this is cool. It says, open my radar while at any major airport and get information on your flight tracking, delays, and gate information. Haven't had I didn't know about that till recently, and I haven't been at the airport to try it. So I look forward to trying this sometime. So now I'm going to get rid of that I remember that. So you can see here, as I kind of zoom away, you can see the winds aloft there. And so it's showing you that, as well as you can kind of see that snow that's up there in the Minnesota area that we were looking at before, and Dakotas. You can kind of see the radar imagery of that moving, the looping. And you know, there's a ton, as I said, of layers that you can turn on and off. I mean, you start turning a lot of this stuff on and your screen is going to get to be a mess real quick. So I only turn on what I need, because I've played around enough with these apps to know that you start turning on all these layers. Like, even if I just turn the temperature layer on, well, it's not as bad on this one. Some of them get so crowded with temperature reports that you almost can't see anything else going on. And so you notice, though, that the current conditions disappear here. And what I've got to do is you've got to click on the area. So if I click on St. Louis area, there it is in Baldwin, and you can see that it'll kind of flip down here. And then it just kind of disappears there after a while. So it doesn't actually sit and block your ability to see the radar. I can click on that thing. I can take photos, and then I can share them if I want, if I click on the camera. So they really have kind of a social aspect to this whole thing. Trying to think. So they have different, maps that you can choose from. I can put on, the road map, which gets kind of interesting if you're zooming in to me, not if you're more wide scale, but it's interesting to see where the precipitation, might be in relation to different parts of the area. All right, so that is my Radar Pro. All right, I'm going to give one last one to you tonight, and this is definitely not for everybody, but it's a pretty cool app. This is called Radar Scope, and they have this for all the different Apple devices. And Radar Scope is the most advanced radar app that I have ever that I'm aware of. And you can see here, just by looking at a screenshot from it, you're getting into some seriously detailed radar imagery. My Radar is a really good app to use. I like that. But if you are talking about just radar usage, Radar Scope is definitely the best radar app I've ever seen or used. It's also the most advanced one that I've seen. I would only recommend it if, you are more of an advanced or expert level weather person with an understanding of it, because otherwise a lot of this stuff is just, it's not going to mean anything. And so it's not for everybody. It really is just, a professional grade weather radar. Now, it is not free. Unlike a lot of the apps that you can get the base one for free, it's not free. So that's one thing. So you can see here, like if you want it for iOS, it's $10. And if you want it for the Mac, it's $30. Now, I do have it for my iOS. I did buy the one-time thing I don't subscribe, however. I just kind of feel like I probably don't need all this radar capability. So you can see if you want like the top level Pro Tier 2, you know, you're talking $100 a year. And so I would imagine that would be, you know, people who are, you know, meteorologists, or, you know, you're out there, you know, chasing the weather, that kind of stuff would be paying for this. I do not have it on my desktop. Now, let me just say before you dismiss it, because like, oh my God, that's pretty expensive. You know, it's not your normal weather app. You're not going to see like your current weather or upcoming forecasts. It doesn't have any of that stuff. It is only a radar app. And so what you're getting is professional weather like level information. Like you're getting, you know, NextRad and super resolution radar data. And so you can literally track things like the eye wall of a hurricane or detailed tornado information. You're getting the raw data that then meteorologists take and they put it into a nice form for people to see like on television or in other apps. So like here is a screenshot, and you can't do the side-by-side ones unless you get the subscriptions. But, you know, here we're seeing a tornado from Tulsa. And so you can really get in there and see what the winds are doing, where the lightning is, where the rotation is, that kind of stuff. Same thing, there is a Hurricane Harvey down in Texas. And so you can actually do, you notice, I don't know if you guys can see, there's a line on there, a white line on the screen. And right kind of below the middle of it, you can actually draw and make annotations on the screen. And so you can kind of mark stuff that way. It also, the app allows you to choose what radar stations you want to choose from across the United States. And so obviously I've got mine set on, you know, here in St. Louis, but you can change that anytime you want to.
Yeah, sometime.
You know, if you haven't used this kind of data, there's a serious learning curve because you got to learn about radar and understand what you're seeing. And so what I do think is kind of cool is that on their website, they actually have a learning academy, and you can learn some of this stuff and you can learn how to use all the different, you know, features within the app. So I think it's great that they actually help you to do this. So if you go in there, that's what you're seeing, like, you know, some of their documentation and how to use some of the different settings and things like that. So I think it's great that they're trying to help you use the app really well. So let me, you know, like I said, it's very professional grade. It's great. You can see detailed information about velocity and different radar. You know, you can really track like severe weather and storms and stuff. And I love the being able to choose your radar source and the learning tools. It's pricey. It's not for everybody. It's not easy to understand, but I wanted to include this because I just think it's a really cool app. And so I will show this to you here on my phone. Come on. There we go. All right. So nothing much happening in St. Louis. You're just seeing the reflectivity there from out in Weldon Spring, where the radar I'm using is. And so let's try to go back up north here. I don't know if it'll make me, if I need to change to their radar station or not.
Probably.
Yeah. So let's
Go to Kansas City.
I gotta go. Let's try Minneapolis, St. Paul. There you go. So now you're seeing this. Now I'm just using the reflectivity, but I can change which ones I want. You can see here, I've got all these different, and I'm not going to get into, I'd be here for an hour talking about all these different things, but you can see all of the different types of radar that I can pick. You will also notice that there are tilts. So
Charlie.
let's look at velocity. And so now I'm looking at the velocity. And so the red and green show you velocity. The red is heading away from the radar, green coming toward the radar. And then when I look at this, I can change the tilt. And so now I'm looking at a different degree angle, which again, doesn't mean much to you guys, but what that's doing is it's how the radar is looking into the storm, at what angle above the ground the radar is looking at it. And so the meteorologists will use that to look at all different levels of the storm. And so it's very, helpful. So again, I can pull all these different radar images up, and it's pretty cool. But again, that's definitely professional grade stuff. All right, so that is where I am going to leave off for tonight. And I actually took more time than I thought I was going to here. So hopefully I gave you good information, and now you can see why I didn't want to do any more than that. I actually thought I would get through this in about a half an hour, but I think all the switching back and forth kind of slowed me down. So my plan is to show you some more next month, some other apps.
Glenn, thank
Yeah.
you.
Sure.
And then I wanted to say, I want to throw out there's a one called Windy. And Omega is sort of like a competitor to Radar Scope. I think like one of the paid features that you have to pay a subscription for Radar Scope. I think if you just buy the base Omega, you can get to do that one particular thing. I forgot what it was now. I knew when I was doing on the storm chasing tour, and I'll remember when I'm on the next storm chasing tour.
Yeah. And I believe Windy was one of the ones in my next batch that I was going to share with you guys. And yeah, I'm familiar with Omega as well. Thanks.
Which app did you say did future forecasting on radar?
That was the My Radar.
Oh, My Radar.
Yeah.
Do you
and
know
again,
what weather model it's using, HRR or RAP?
I don't remember off the top of my head. I'd have to look that up. So I'm sure if you go to their website, you might be able to find that information.
Which apps are you actually paying for?
Forecast bar. Let's see. Hold on. I'm looking at my apps. Forecast bar I do. And currently I bought Radar Scope, and I have a subscription on My Radar. Those are the ones that I'm actually paying for. Like I said, I could pay for more of them, but it gets ridiculous. I mean, I have enough apps as it is already to go back and forth, and it seems like I'm always going between them. I don't necessarily have one that I always use, so I could go like completely crazy with that.
Well, thanks a lot, Glenn. That was interesting. I'm going to look up some of those and maybe even download them. Okay.
Well, and here's what I'll do, Ron. I'll share that with you so people have this data. And then, like I said, I'm going to do another 5 or 6 of them next month. So if there's ones that, you haven't heard, or you're like, oh, I know about this one. Like, Tammy mentioned ones, I'll have some others. And I kind of was going through this in alphabetical order as I started it. So I just haven't gotten to some of them.
Okay, then our next thing is John. He's going to talk about continuity camera, which I don't know that everybody even knows what that is, but it might be useful to anybody with a good iPhone and a laptop. Okay, John, we're ready for you.
Okay, well, I had, as many of you can remember, a M1 MacBook Air that I sang the praises of quite a bit because it was at that time the best computer I'd ever had. I now have an M2 MacBook Air, and the only reason for that is because my daughter's older computer was really on its last legs. So I gave my M1 MacBook Air to her, and I now have an M2. Well, when I made the switch, I thought, and some of you may remember my asking about this, the M1 MacBook Air had a 720p webcam. The M2 MacBook Air has a 1080p webcam. So when I started using it, I remember asking people whether the picture that you can see of me had improved a little bit. And I guess the general consensus was, yeah, a little bit, but not all that much. Well, in the meantime, Apple was working on, I think, I'm thinking that they might have been hearing a lot of the criticisms of the not so good quality of their webcams on their laptops. So they were kind of working behind the scenes, and they've come up with, now whether it was because of that criticism or what, I don't know, something now called continuity camera. And what that allows you to do is to take the camera that's on your iPhone, and if you got any iPhone that continuity camera supports, which is all the way back to the iPhone 8, that iPhone, and of course the newer ones, have a whole lot better quality camera than the webcam even the 1080p webcam that's on a current generation computer, which is like this M2 MacBook Air that I've got. Now, so that I thought it would be nice to have a better camera, but the real thing that attracted it to me was that, as I'm sure a lot of you, I've told a lot of you, my setup at home is that I've got, like when I'm at work, I've got a Dell Windows box that sits off to the side, and I've got a 27-inch LG 4K monitor sitting in front of me. And when I'm using my work stuff, I've got all of the work apps come up on the big monitor, except one that stays off to the side on the laptop. And then when I'm just normally using, and then when the work is over, I get out my M2 MacBook Air, sit it on top of the Dell, and use that. And then I will pretty much show everything I'm using. I will have that displaying on the big monitor. Once in a while, I'll drag something off to the side just to get it out of the way if I need to. Now, as I would go to Zoom meetings for either for the officers or for the general meeting, I didn't have any way. I had to use the webcam that was on the MacBook Air, and so I couldn't use the big screen. So I had to push this big screen way back on my desk, get the laptop out, put it in front of me, and I put it on I think I showed people this, I put it on a little stand to increase the angle. And then I would have to use my smaller 13-inch screen, which is a fine, good quality screen, good resolution. But, it's a 13-inch screen versus a 27-inch screen. So, and I had to do that, either that, or you guys would be seeing me through my webcam that would be off to the side. You'd be basically seeing my jaw on one side of my nose. So with the setup that I have now, you guys are looking at me through my iPhone 13 Pro, which is sitting on top of the LG screen. Now I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here so I can show you what I'm looking at. And wait a second, I don't want to do that one. I need to bring up the, this is the presentation in preview. So I'm going to go to Zoom and see if I can share. And I want to show you this. I believe this is the right one to share. Okay, can you guys all see this now?
Yep.
Okay. Now, so basically what I'm looking at is I've given a brief view of the information sources that you can use. See, is this stuff, can I move this out of the way? Yeah. Okay. The source of the information that I'm using was from two sources. The first one here is a support document from Apple. And the second one is about a 5.5-minute video produced by Roman Loyola of Macworld. And I think I might even play that for you tonight because it's quite short and it's also quite good. Just to briefly review, and when we went over a little bit of this in earlier meetings when we were talking about the Apple meetings where they announced this, the software requirements for the phone and for the computer. On the phone, you have to be using a phone that supports iOS 16 or later. And I've got those listed here. It's basically from an iPhone 10R on, or basically anything introduced in 2018 or later. Okay. On the computer, you have to have Mac OS 13. So you can see the listed computers. Essentially, it's any MacBook Pro, MacBook, iMac Pro, or iMac back to 2017. a MacBook Air, a Mac Mini back to 2018, the Mac Pro to 2019, and of course the brand new Mac Studio. And that information is all summarized here. Now, this next part, optional hardware that I'm getting at, this is what's needed to mount the phone on your Mac, which by the way, you don't have to do in order to use continuity camera. You can actually have the phone, you can hold it in your hand if you like, or you can have it sitting on a mount off to the side. I prefer to have it on the top of the screen, so that's why I had to do some digging. Now, when continuity camera first came out, there was all kinds of talk about a mount that would fit on top of somebody's laptop. And there's an example here that you can buy, I believe, on the Apple Store, and it's just from Belkin. And you'll see this in the video by Roman Loyola of Macworld. So the first generation of iPad or iPhone holders that came out were designed to hold the iPad, or I keep saying iPad, were designed to hold the iPhone onto the top of the very thin MacBook Air or MacBook Pro screen. Well, that poses a problem for me because my LG screen is quite a bit thicker than those are, and so none of those supports would work. So what to do? Well, I did some digging, and I found, interestingly enough, two separate products that will accomplish this. One is called this Mocosi or Mocos webcam stand. As you can, on Amazon, it was $10. You can bend the thing around, and I've got it bent in a way that it will show up on my, that it will support the phone, and it just hits the top of my screen. The other half of it, now you can see on the top of this, there's a screw sticking out. The resolution on this is not the best because this is just a screenshot that I took. Now that goes into the brass thread on the bottom of this other thing here called an octo mount. And that is actually a 2-pack, and this is the thing that actually holds the phone. And when you put the two together, it looks like this. So this part here, this bent part, is what sits on top of the screen. It holds the mount for the phone. Okay, and then the phone has got a spring that will press upward so that you can keep the phone in place. And then here's what it looks like when it's sitting on top of the screen. Now, this is using my wife's iPhone instead of mine, because obviously I had to take the picture with my iPhone. So I can set this on top of the LG monitor, okay? And that will hold the iPhone, and I'm now using the very good quality iPhone camera, and I'm able to use it using the big monitor, which for me is a whole lot more pleasant experience than kind of crunching everything down on the little 13-inch monitor. Hopefully it's a little bit better for those of you watching because the quality of the image that you're seeing is that much better. Now, there is a couple of features that come with continuity camera that I've played with, but I decided not to show now. There is a feature called Desk View, where you can use the wide angle lens on your phone to see the desk right in front of your computer. Basically, it would show like where your keyboard is, or it would even show, if you would move your keyboard out of the way, it will allow you to see something that you might be working with. Let's say, for example, that you wanted to show one of those neat 3D printed products that Alan showed us that they were making at the was it the SLU facility, okay, or some of those ones I think that his grandson was buying. So if you wanted to show one of those things, using Desk View would be a good idea because you can see the thing. The camera, even though it's sitting way up here on top of the monitor, will be able to see down into the area right in front of your computer. Now, it turns out that I tried doing that, and all that it would show was basically the front of my shirt. And it turns out, and I found this out just recently from the Macworld video, that the items that Desk View will show are 16 inches away from where your screen is. So if you've got the phone mounted directly on the screen, like I do, I'd have to push the monitor back almost to the end of the desk to the point where it would fall off in order to make visible to you guys the area in front of the screen where I would be, you know, showing a 3D image or something like that. So there's plenty of places where you can see Desk View demonstrated, and Roman Loyola shows it in the video. But I have to forego that just because of the limitations of my desk. I just don't have enough space to show you anything more useful than the buttons on my shirt, which would be rather boring. So basically, to get this going, to get a continuity camera going, all you have to do is to enable it in the settings on your phone. And then you enable it in the settings on your computer. And then on the computer, basically what you have to do is select a video capable app. In the demo from Roman Loyola, he uses QuickTime Player. But QuickTime or FaceTime or Zoom or anything that supports video, you can go into the settings and configure it to use the settings. In fact, you can see it here. This is my settings for Zoom. So as you can see, I have the choice between the FaceTime HD camera, that would be the one that was on my laptop, or the iPhone Pro camera. So I've got it set to use that. Now, the other thing you can do, and I was playing around with this and I had to change it back. You can, in Zoom settings, there's a separate one, as you can see, for video. There's also a separate one for audio. When I was putting this presentation together, I had audio selected. I had it selected to use the sound from the phone. Now, just before I came to the meeting tonight, I was doing an audio check and I found that for whatever reason, it didn't want to work. So I switched the audio or the microphone back to the MacBook Air. I will need to play with that a little bit more and see if I can get it to use the microphone that's on the phone. Why that's not working right now, I'm not completely sure. But theoretically, you've got the option of using pretty much any audio source. I've even got an audio source on this monitor. I never use it, but it's available, and I could if I wanted. And I think, yeah, that was the last thing that I've got in my presentation. So what I'd like to do, if you guys are interested, there's a 5-minute video that I mentioned that Roman Loyola has put together. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize preview and see if I can bring that up and show this to you right now. Is this large enough that you guys can see this okay?
We're just seeing your presentation page.
Okay. I think that this will play well enough. So let's see how this works.
With MacBooks, iMacs, and the studio display.
We're not seeing that, John.
But you know what, Apple?
Oh, that's right, because I have to go and change I have to go back and change I have to stop this share and go back.
Share the video.
Yeah, bring the video back up and then share again. And let's see. Here, I think it should be this one here. Now, are you guys able to see that now?
Yeah.
Okay, let me see if it works.
It has really great cameras, the iPhone. And now with macOS Ventura and iOS 16, you can take advantage of the iPhone and use it as a Mac webcam to get terrific looking video. The best part is Apple makes it really easy to do. Let's take a look. New iPhone webcam support is part of the continuity camera feature in macOS Ventura. To be able to use it, you need the following: an iPhone 8 or 10R running iOS 16, a Mac running macOS Ventura, all the devices logged into the same Apple ID, and Wi-Fi and Bluetooth enabled. Those are the basic items.
John, your video is not
on a mount or holder.
progressing.
It says it's got screen share is paused, and how am I gonna? I don't want to stop sharing.
Well, see that YouTube button? If you bring it up in YouTube, you can just share YouTube.
The YouTube button.
On the video,
Bottom of the video.
bottom of the video.
So you can place it on top of
Hold
your
it.
display. I've been using a pro.
I'm going to stop sharing because I don't see it.
It's, if you look at the bottom bar there of your video, it's like third from the right. It says YouTube. Look at the bottom of the video on the little toolbar there.
The video window in that document you brought up.
Oh, this down here?
In the video window. At the bottom of that video window.
Yeah, it says YouTube.
It says YouTube. Click on that.
Yeah.
You'll bring up YouTube, the YouTube version of that video,
Okay,
and then you can share that with us.
I'm using a prototype of Belkin's iPhone mount for MacBook, which uses MagSafe.
let's see if that does it. Okay, are you seeing the YouTube video now?
Yes, but now you got to go back to the beginning.
That come with MacBooks, iMacs, and the studio display, well, they suck. But you know what Apple product has really great cameras? The iPhone. And now with macOS Ventura and iOS 16, you can take advantage of the iPhone and use it as a Mac webcam to get terrific looking video. The best part is Apple makes it really easy to do. Let's take a look. New iPhone webcam support is part of the continuity camera feature in macOS Ventura. To be able to use it, you need the following: an iPhone 8 or 10R running iOS 16, a Mac running macOS Ventura, all the devices logged into the same Apple ID, and Wi-Fi and Bluetooth enabled. Those are the basic items you need to get going. You may also want a mount or holder for your iPhone so you can place it on top of your display. I've been using a prototype of Belkin's iPhone mount for MacBook, which uses MagSafe to hold the iPhone on top of a display or as a stand. I've also used a Gorilla Pod with a phone holder. However, you don't have to put the phone on top of the display. It can be anywhere in the vicinity of the Mac. You can even hold it, which can be handy if you're shooting video footage. There are other iPhone requirements for the 3 video effects, but we'll cover that in a bit. Now let's set it all up. First, take the iPhone and open the Settings app. Tap on General, then AirPlay and Handoff. You'll find a switch for Continuity Camera Webcam. Flip it on, and your iPhone is set. Mount your iPhone, and then open a video app on your Mac. This works with Zoom, FaceTime, and just about any app that can use a webcam. I'm going to use QuickTime. In the app, find a setting that lets you set the webcam. In QuickTime, I can click on the arrow next to the record button. The iPhone should appear as a webcam option. Select it, and boom, your iPhone is capturing video. Now you can do what you need to do in the app. Have a video conference, record a video of yourself, FaceTime a friend, whatever you want. And that's the basics for getting the iPhone webcam running. There are 4 video effects that enhance the experience if you have the right iPhone model. The first one is called Desk View. This uses the iPhone's ultra-wide camera lens to shoot your desk while also shooting you at the same time. It's a cool feature to use if you want to demonstrate something. To use Desk View, you need to have an iPhone 11 or later. And then to turn it on, get the webcam going, and then in Control Center, click on the Video Effects button. A Video Effects menu appears, and then select Desk View. A Desk View app will open, showing your desk. It captures the area about 16 inches from the Mac's display, so you'll want to plan accordingly. And then you'll need to figure out how to sort the windows on your Mac. I tile them left and right. The next effect is called Center Stage. This keeps you in the middle of the video frame, and it requires an iPhone 11 or later. You can turn it on in Control Center, and then when you move, the camera follows you. The third effect is called Portrait, and this needs an iPhone 11 or later. When you turn this effect on in Control Center, it blurs the background. Turn it off, and the background is in focus again. The last effect is called Studio Light. You need an iPhone 12 or later, and it uses the iPhone flash to brighten up your picture when it's too dark. When you're all done using the webcam, just quit the Mac app. You may see a screen on your iPhone saying it's being used as a webcam. You can just tap on the disconnect button to get your iPhone back. Then, when you want to use the iPhone webcam again, just mount your iPhone, launch your app, and you're good to go. And that's it. It's super easy, isn't it? Now you need Mac OS Ventura and iOS 16 to do all of this, and those operating systems will be ready this fall for free. We have all the steps written down in an article for you at macworld.com. And be sure to check out our website for more good stuff about iOS 16, Mac OS Ventura, and more. If you found this video useful, please smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions or suggestions, leave it in the comment section below.
Okay, I think that illustrates pretty well in a very short time how to use this. It's really pretty easy and quite useful. I found it to be quite useful. I'm looking forward to using it for the rest of our meetings.
You know, John, I wanted to use continuity camera today, but then I realized I was going to have my phone connected to my Mac to go back and forth. So I thought, well, not the time to probably be doing that, but
Agreed.
I was just going to relate to them the conversation we were having at the officers meeting. And if you officers remember, we were comparing my MacBook Pro, which for the rest of you is from 2021. So it's a brand new, you know, real nice MacBook Pro. And I've got an iPhone 11 Pro Max. My iPhone 11 Pro Max camera blew away the iPhone. Now, if you officers remember, we were playing with that back and forth last week.
Yeah, I don't remember. I was at the, that was one of those
Oh,
times I was in the
that's right.
emergency room with
Yeah.
my wife.
Yeah.
But it blew away your Mac. Your newer Mac wasn't as good a camera. It's only an HD camera, and the iPhone is a much better camera.
Yeah, I was surprised though, it's just how much of a difference there really is.
Well, thank you, John.
Okay, now I will put that presentation, I'll give that to Ron to post because that's got the links to, I do recommend probably even bookmarking that one from Roman Loyola. It was quite good. And then the Apple instructions go into quite a bit more detail than he did. So I recommend consulting that as well for anybody who's interested in using continuity camera. So Ron, I'll get those to you as soon as the meeting's over.
Okay,
I thought it was nice that after you had it set up, all you had to do was start the app again and it would automatically went to your iPhone to do it.
Yeah, that's handy as well.
Hey, John, one quick question. The device you showed us, is that the one that you're currently using?
That mount, you mean? Yes.
Yeah, the mount. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because I've been looking around at different mounts and what I find is it's a little frustrating because so many of them of the ones you see for sale are meant to be magnets for the back of your phone. I'm like, well, the MagSafe doesn't work with my iPhone 11. So you've got to have a 12 or newer. So
Yep.
I've been on the lookout. I was just thinking about just using my tripod and just raising it right to the level of my computer and putting it there. But
If you've got it, I was thinking about something like that too, Glenn, but just that I've got my desk space is rather limited. That's
Yeah.
the only reason I didn't go that way. And then I was looking on Etsy and all, and Etsy has got all kinds of neat and artistic iPhone mounts. But again, they are the unspoken assumption is that people are going to be using those with their laptops. So they're designed to fit the very thin screen of an iPad, I mean, of a MacBook Pro or a MacBook Air. When you got this big fat monitor like this LG, ain't no way they're going to fit. Now, my phone will accommodate a magnetic mount, but I didn't really find any, or if there were, they were way too pricey. And for the grand total of what was it, $10 for that one piece, maybe I think it was under $20 for both of them. Screw them together, bend the bottom one, the one that fits on the monitor, bend it so that you got the phone at the right angle, done.
will the one you have, you think, work well with the MacBook Pro that's thinner though?
You should be able to bend the thing and make it stay on there. Yes.
Okay. Thanks.
okay, cool. I've got just two things to kind of finish off our meeting. One is an article that shows 16, it's called 16 Cool Tricks Hidden Inside the Messages app. So there's a lot of things here, and I will post it on our website if you want to go back and look at them particularly slowly. because I'm going to go kind of quickly since it's already about almost 8:40. So let me do a quick share. And this is the article. Can y'all see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So this came up in PC Mag. It's an article that I read. Notice it's right after Christmas. And it starts with one thing you can do is edit a sent message, which is new in iOS 16. Has anybody tried doing that or resending a
Yeah.
message? Okay. So I haven't yet, but it talks about how you do it. And if your recipient is running the same iOS 16 or iPad OS or Mac OS Ventura, the corrected message will replace the older one, the original one. If they're using an older version, they'll receive a new message with the corrected text, but they'll still see the old message. So it's a little different depending on what version people are using. It says you have only 15 minutes to edit a sent message. So don't delay if you see an error. If you wait too long, oh, you're out of luck. You just have to send them a correction. That just gives you instructions on what to do. Number 2 is how to unsend a message that you've sent. If you send it to the wrong person or want to recall it for some other reason, again, iOS 16 or better, iPad OS 16 and Ventura, you can simply, if you do this, the original message will simply vanish. Again, if they're using an older version, they'll get a notice that it was unsent. The full effect works only with iMessage text and not with SMS or MMS messages. Again, you have just 2 minutes to unsend it, so you'll need to be rather quick once you notice you did it in error, perhaps. Again, gives instructions on what to do. Number 3 is you can add a photo or video. You can attach a photo or video to a text. Tap the iMessage field and add some text. To snap and add a new photo, tap the left arrow button and then tap the camera. I have done this and it works out pretty easily. And you can notice you can take something for your photos library too. Same thing with videos. Search for the right emoji or sticker. I'm not too big on those, but if you use them or like those kind of things, you can search for it and add that to your text. You can record and add an emoji. Again, I'm not too big on doing that, but it's possible. You can add an animated GIF. I say GIF, you say GIF, I don't know. But anyway, one fun way to spruce up a text is through an animated GIF. From the App Store row, tap the icon for images, swipe through the results and search for a specific one. In any case, it works pretty easily. You can dictate a message. Instead of struggling to tap out your text with your fingers, why not just dictate it? Tap the microphone icon, either the one next to the iMessage field or the one at the lower right of the screen, then just dictate your words. When done, review the message for errors. You can easily fix a mistake by tapping in the area and correcting the glitch, and then send it. You can reply in line. This is useful. I don't know if you've ever gotten a group text from different people and a whole bunch of people are saying different things, but you want to reply to one of the parts of the message. But when you add yours in there, it's way at the bottom, and therefore it's sort of out of context. So this allows you to reply in line to a specific message that came through, especially in group text where that's likely to have happened. You can mention someone by name. You can include someone's name in a text message as a mention. Doing so makes it easier for that person to see or respond to any texts that reference their name. To do this, type the person's first name, then tap the name and select the person from the pop-up icon. You can also type @ followed by the person's name, and it will automatically turn into a mention. Add a group name or photo. You can set both a name and an image for each of your group conversations. I haven't ever done this, but I suppose it might be interesting to try. Hide alerts for new messages. Sometimes you don't want to receive a notification every time there's a new text from a certain person or group. no problem. To stifle them, open the conversation, tap the icon for the person or group at the top, and turn on the switch for hide alerts. Get notified of mentions. You want to hide alerts for a group conversation, but still wish to be notified if someone mentioned you in the conversation. To set this up, go to settings, messages, and in the messages section, mentions section, excuse me, turn on the switch for notify me. How to collaborate on a note. You've created a note in your iPhone and would like other people to review or contribute to it. Tap the share icon and select collaborate from the share menu. Make sure collaborate is checked. Tap the option for only invited people can collaborate and set the access and permissions. Restoring deleted messages. If you delete a message by mistake and want it back, no problem. Your iPhone stores deleted messages for a certain amount of time. To set this up, go to settings, messages, keep messages, the duration for keeping your messages for 30 days, 1 year, or forever. I can't imagine a message being that important, but who knows? To restore a deleted message from the Messages app, tap the filters at the upper left corner and select recently deleted. Filter messages by known or unknown senders to clean out the messages inbox clutter by filtering out all the one-time alerts and messages from unknown senders. Go to settings, messages. Under the message filtering section, turn on the switch for filter unknown senders, and then in messages, tap the filters link in the upper left corner and choose between all messages, known senders, and so on and so forth. I guess that could be useful to do. And lastly, pin a conversation. You're trying to hunt down a specific thread among all the conversations that appear in your messages inbox can be challenging. Now you can pin up to 9 specific conversations at the top of the screen so they're easily accessible. It tells you again how to do that. And at the end of this article, of course, which will be online, you can click that, it'll give you the original article. Any questions? Or I know that was really quick. And if you want specific instructions, you can go to this article, which will be on our website to find that.
I thought when you when you were announcing this, that there were 16 cruel things to do with messages.
Oh, you didn't like any of those?
Well, I was waiting for the cruel things to start.
Oh, cruel.
Cruel. C-R-U-E-L.
I didn't misspell it, did I?
No, you
Oh,
just,
okay.
just
Charlie, you're making me worried there for a second.
my hearing picked it up as cruel.
Charlie, I'm sure if you came and read the messages that my students send back and forth on their phones, you'd find a lot of cruel ones.
Oh, yeah, that may be true for sure.
I feel, it's just sad for the kids that have, I've got a 12-year-old granddaughter, and she's at that age where I'm sure they can get very cruel with messages. And I mean, at least, we didn't have to deal with that when we were growing up. But I mean, and it can be devastating to these kids to have something like that happen to them.
I think that's why parents have to be careful what age is appropriate for them to have their own phones and such like that.
And
that's why that's where the bullying goes on nowadays, all on the phones.
Oh yeah.
So
yes.
When we were kids, people passed messages in the classroom. That's about the worst it ever.
I mean, some of these kids commit suicide. They get so.
Oh, I know.
Down. I mean, it's awful. It's awful. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's a great, it's a great tool. But there are times I say, I'm blaming Steve Jobs for inventing this damn thing, But what I mean, it's the cat's out of the bag, and there's you're not going to be able to put it back in. I mean, we just have to figure out ways to monitor it and keep the kids safe. Because I mean, if they start on somebody, as a group, putting down one particular person, especially some of these girls that are getting so cruel with each other. I worry about that. It can be devastating to their self-esteem.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, our last one is 10 helpful iPhone tips. It's about a 5-minute video. I found it very useful or interesting, so I'm going to share that with you, and that'll end our meeting today. You see this
Where's
one?
all that noise coming from?
Who has a party going on?
I know. Somebody turn your audio off, please.
From personalizing
Are you all
your
seeing
lock screen
this?
photos to translating text using camera. Here are 10
Are you seeing the video?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Okay.
iPhone tips you should know. Starting in iOS 16, you can lift the subject of a photo away from the background so you can copy and share it. Just touch and briefly hold the subject and lift your finger when you see the outline start to appear around it. Tap Copy to copy the lifted subject. Switch to a supported app like Messages and paste it. That looks pretty cool. Bonus tip, in Messages, send the lifted subject using the echo screen effect to really wow your friends.
Yeah, that would be something.
Also starting in iOS 16, when personalizing your lock screen with a photo, you can customize it even more. Swipe left on the lock screen while in edit mode for a variety of photo styles, including color filters and more. And here's another tip starting in iOS 16. To quickly see the password of the Wi-Fi network you're currently using, in Settings, tap Wi-Fi and tap the Information button, which looks like the letter I next to the Wi-Fi network you're connected to. Then tap the password and use Face ID or Touch ID to unlock and reveal it. If you find yourself typing out the same phrase a lot, create a text replacement to get the message across faster. In Settings, tap General. Then tap Keyboard and tap Text Replacement. Tap the Add button, which looks like a plus sign in the top right corner of your screen, and enter a phrase into the phrase field. Then enter the text replacement you'd like to use into the shortcut field and tap Save in the upper right corner of the screen. Now, whenever you type the text replacement and then enter a space, the phrase will automatically be added to the app you're typing in. Quickly access low power mode right from Control Center. In Settings, tap Control Center, scroll down, and tap the Add button next to low power mode. To open Control Center on an iPhone with Face ID, swipe down from the top right corner of the screen. Or on an iPhone with Touch ID, swipe up from the bottom of the screen. Then tap the low power mode button to turn it on. Select multiple photos at the same time and add them to other apps with this multi-touch gesture. Touch and hold a photo until you feel a tap, and then drag it away a little while still holding it. With a different finger, tap another photo to add it to the stack. You can select as many photos as you like. Once you've selected the photos, switch to the supported app you want to share to while still holding the stack. Drag your finger where you want to add them and lift your finger to drop them into the app. Need to take a picture quickly? You can swipe to open the camera on your iPhone without even having to unlock the screen. Just swipe left. Got it. Translate the world around you using live text. While using your iPhone camera, position the viewfinder over the text you want to translate and tap the live text button in the bottom right corner of the viewfinder. Tap Translate in the bottom left corner of the viewfinder, and the text will automatically be translated to the language you have set for your iPhone. Did you know that you can scan a document with the Notes app on your iPhone? In a note, tap the camera button and tap Scan Documents. Position the document in the viewfinder and it will scan automatically. You can repeat the process again if you have additional pages to scan. Tap Save when you're done. Thanks for the recipe, Grandma. In the Photos app, if you're looking for the first photo in an album, library, or search results, you can quickly jump to the beginning of the view by tapping the top edge of your iPhone screen. Tap the tab for the view you're in at the bottom of the screen to jump back to the most recent photo. And now you know a few tips to help you get the most out of your iPhone. To learn more about how to use your iPhone, subscribe to the Apple Support YouTube channel, or click another video to keep watching. Translation is available for supported languages.
Okay. I thought that was interesting. A lot of quick tips, but maybe useful ones. And nothing cruel there at all.
Ron.
With your Apple Watch,
Oops, I'm
you
sorry.
can quickly reply to a message, snap a picture with your app.
Okay. Any questions, comments?
Hey,
'Cause
Ron,
I'm done.
I noticed recently that if you control click, you used to be able to define words in a document, like in a website, but you can also translate documents. The translate button is there on the control clicks.
Well, you're talking about when you're on in your Mac or your phone or what?
In your Mac, yeah.
Mac.
So if you're in the Mac and you see a word you don't know, you can translate it or have it look up for another page. But you can also just hit translate. Used to be you have to copy it and then go to Google Translate and then paste it in. But now,
Oh, that'd be useful. I have to try that.
I'm guessing that requires the use of Safari, or do other browsers support that too?
I don't know. I
So what
use
do you-
Safari.
You were using Safari, okay.
Okay.
John and Lyman, John and Lyman, before we, end here tonight, I sent a link for you guys by our conversation right before the meeting started, about a hydration drink for you
Okay.
that I think is very superior.
Superior to water?
I see it here.
Yeah, Element.
Yeah, I saw it. Thank you.
Okay, so letting you guys know.
Okay, everybody. Thanks for coming tonight, and stay warm or cold, whichever you like to be, and stay healthy.
Bye, everyone.
All right.
Bye.
Night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Good
See you
meeting.
next month.
Lots of good info. Appreciate it all.
Yeah, weather apps are fun.
Goodwill.
Yeah, thanks everybody for the presentation. Those were good.